with several brands in their portfolio. And the position Stina got at this company was as Vice President for Design, Marketing, and Product Management. The third time Stina was hired by Volvo Group, I was not involved in the recruitment, but I was very, very happy to hear the announcement. And this time, I hope that the challenge is big enough for you, Stina, so that you will stay for a long, long time and keep busy. So by that, I would like to welcome Stina Nilimaa Wickström.
Now?
Yeah,
that's better. Thank you, Aina, for that introduction. And I have some pretty big shoes to fill, I can promise. It's not so easy to succeed this woman. And but actually, we have half of our letters in common. Stina Nilimaa Wickström. It's actually exactly the same. So that's for you to know if you're planning on a career to that you need to have at least half of the letters in common with me, which will be an extreme challenge, I assure you. So I little bit hard to swallow this with actually coming back 3 times, but it only proves that Volvo Group is a fantastic company to work for. So even if going away from there, it always tempted me to go back. And now is a particular interesting time to be in a vehicle company. And of course, much because of all the changes that are going on, that vehicle companies are now the ones to be sort of in the middle of all the disruption happening, like the music industry, like the banking industry has started to experience. And design is in the center as well, in the midst of all this. And I believe strongly that we now have started to come into the century of design. We have been in the century of industrialism, we have been in the century of economy, and now we come to the century of design. Because design is now the paradigm shift we are seeing. Design will be more than a department in a company. It will be the change agent. Designers will fill more important, powerful positions because design will be distributed over the company, and the talent and what we are contributing with will be visible in more parts of the company. Of course, it's a little bit scary. It's like when your kid grow up and you need to let him go out and do by himself, but ultimately it's really about companies maturing into being able to manage design, use design in new ways. And innovation has already moved to where it actually belongs, and that's to the experience, not about technology. And of course, digitalization has helped a lot in propelling that. And design leadership is not to lead design, it's to promote progress in a company and in society. I call myself a designer, and sometimes I say industrial designer, because was my training here at UID. But I never call myself a transportation designer or a vehicle designer or an automotive designer. And to some extent, yes, I love the vehicles. I love to see them move around. You know, it's very emotional to see them. But I don't love vehicles. But I do love what we do at at the design department. And to me, the core element of industrial design is that it is in a context. The product is in a context of many different aspects of sustainability, of gender, of society, and all that makes it so interesting. And that's why I actually came back from the wallpaper company. I missed the industrial design, even if that journey was very, very interesting, and I learned a lot. So I've been a design manager, and I now recognize myself as a design leader. And I'm not leading a team. I'm leading, coaching Volvo Group. That's how I see my leadership. The team is spread over the world, as Aina mentioned, so I don't need to go into detail about this. And as Aina mentioned, I went from designing to leading a team, and then to lead business and leading leaders. And again, to do that now in a time and in a company that is investing so heavily, I think I feel very, very privileged. And it's fantastic feeling to be in a company with 100,000 employees, and the huge investments that are being done in new technologies, and that I finally, after so many years working with the scenarios about sustainability, about what we need to do to make this world a better place, because we always will need to move stuff around. And so it's so enriching to see this now actually happening and coming to life. We designers, we are in the experience business. We anticipate what will be the reactions. We anticipate emotions and how they will impact on the interaction with the product, with the service, with the solution, with the business. And this is actually why we connect so much to art, to music. Someone asked yesterday about, music thinking, perhaps, or composer thinking. And I think we can relate to that, because our process is about creating emotions and reactions. And this is also the this essence of beauty. I use that word because I don't find a better one. The essence of beauty to actually create something holistic, something that you can be proud of, that is ethical, that is meaningful, that is beautiful. So that is this unmeasurable aspect of what we do. And this is what is sought after, that we have seen over the last 15 years, a growing trend of technology companies acquiring design agencies, and then IT giants acquiring design agencies, and ultimately management consultancies acquiring design agencies. And actually talking about disruptive technology, one of the business we rarely talk about, which has actually been quite disrupted by digital technology, is PR and communication. Those guys have faced a major turnover of their whole business. It's been completely changed. And they have been panicking to sort of embrace this new movement of digitalization. And I see that as one of the reasons why design thinking has become so much in the sort of the talk of the day, or the not only about for the day, but actually so spread and so at the top of the agenda. And actually, how I see it is that, well, design thinking is really good. That I think it's really clever, because it's very inclusive to talk about design thinking. Everyone can be part of that, to apply some of the design thinking. But obviously, the trick is to do the design doing. But the point here is that these guys, the economists, the technology people, they are trying now to piggyback on design. Remember that design has been trying to piggyback on technology and science with the ergonomics and HMI, etc. And we've been trying to piggyback on economy and brand management for a long time, talking about building brand identity, brand value, brand equity. And now it's the opposite. So this is really something to celebrate. This is the paradigm shift. But we all know that design is broader than one methodology or one way of describing what we do. It's like if you're an economist, if we would reduce that to the principle of maximum utility, which is a cornerstone of economic theory, but it doesn't make you thinking economically or have economic thinking in your company. And actually, us as designers, when I studied here, we were frequently asked to learn more about technology, so we wouldn't be so ignorant when we came out to the companies. And now there seems to be more of a push to know economy. Now it's fine for people to have double master grades. That's fine. I don't oppose to that. There's a lot of people out there taking double educations. But if we think about it, what is asked for, what is required for, is more design, not more economy, not more technology. So let designers be designers. That's what I think. And actually make sure that we spread that competence more. I've been thinking a lot about what is the creative process really about. What is it we actually are trained to do? What have we done repeatedly, over and over during our pre-study art classes, in the master education, and also that continues after the education? It's the reviews. The reviews with your teacher, the reviews with your tutor, with your mentor, with your classmates. And this is initially a quite painful experience. You're putting so much effort in what you do, and you present it to others, and you're forced to sort of take those steps back and see what you've done, and you get criticized or encouraged, and it can be quite a painful experience. But the point here is, what are you actually learning? You are learning to deal with complexity. And you're using your right brain capacity to deal with complexity. Because you have so many options. You have so many different things, millions of ways that you can solve your problem, or express it, or describe it, or present it, or design it. So the complexity of what we're dealing with is welcomed. It's even triggering creativity. And we're not trying to reduce it. We're trying to simplify it. We're trying to manage it into something that is actually useful. While engineering approach is often to try to reduce complexity by taking things out. This I've experienced many processes many times. To leave it open and try to embrace the complexity. And understand that this kind of right brain process that you're trained to do, That's your biggest asset. And that is what will make you really good future leaders. Because in increasing complexity, it is what will be required. So to master complexity, is it about being subjective? Is it about having intuition? Is it about being holistic? I rather talk about it as competence, knowledge, experience. It's not a subjective task. We are thinking about the customer perspective, the user perspective, the business perspective, etc. It's not subjective, but it is right brain. It's the unmeasurable way versus the measurable. It's the design perspective. And I avoid talking about holistic, because I think that's a little bit arrogant. We want to create holistic solutions, but we cannot claim being holistic, because we need to be interdisciplinary. We need to work cross-functionally, as Tim very well described yesterday. We cannot do this on our own. So we are depending on others to create a holistic solution. So don't be embarrassed to say that this is your perspective, that's your competence, that's what you bring. And complexity. Is this guy more, perhaps better adapted to deal with huge amounts of data, the artificial intelligence? And I now talk about artificial intelligence in decision making. I don't know if this is just a gimmick, but Tieto, they say that they are the first Nordic company to appoint an artificial intelligence to the leadership team of the new data-driven business unit. And rumor says that they say he's really stupid. And he's going on about the same time again and again and again. We don't listen to him. But I don't know. Might be a rumor. Might be a rumor. My point here is that we might be trying to convince people who are supported by this data-driven management principles. So not only as today, trying to bring forward these more right brain approach, right brain arguments, now supported with a completely obnoxious robot telling you that this is the fact, this is the fact, this is the fact. I think this will be a challenge to us. Honestly believe that this will be very, very tough. And we can see some signs of this already in the fashion business, because they are becoming really data-driven. Because of online shopping, because of all the social media, the communication happening online, where you can follow exactly what they are looking at, exactly what they are clicking, how long are they spending looking at that and that and that, which color are they choosing, what is the purchase, what are they buying. You can see the results in the shops already. It's black, 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 and black. And if this would be really good if it was sort of a sustainable solution, that we would see less waste in the fashion industry. But we aren't. The piles are even bigger. And why? Because they all do the same stuff and they can't sell it. So the competition becomes completely crazy. They have 7 seasons now. 7 seasons. And I've seen some of that when I worked with the wallpaper industry. I could see this trend coming. And I know, with people I know in the furniture industry, they say that this is coming to them as well. That they have to talk about why we need to trust a designer rather than the statistics and the analysis done based on digital big data. This is just one example where a designer picked up we failed one collection, and we didn't have anything to fill in that launch spot. So she suggested, why don't we take that I believe strongly in this pattern. I believe that this can be something that it's been hidden in another collection. Let's bring it forward and do something about it with it. I would have said no, because it was a really bad seller. It didn't sell at all. But it was a fantastic hit, and it's been selling fantastically. So I mean, it's wallpaper, and it's quite easy maybe in the future for AI to see this kind of low complexity product that they will start analyzing and put in more and more facts around it. But imagine if you now have perfect data. You have perfect data to work with, and put that to the AI, and let AI help you in the decision making. I put a quote here. In the field of observation, chance favors the prepared mind. It's Louis Pasteur who said this quote, and he was referring to when he found the penicillin, and sort of by accident when he was doing other experiments. But his point here is that it wasn't by accident. He came over it, but he wouldn't have been able to detect this fantastic innovation if he wasn't schooled, if he wasn't trained, if he didn't know what to look for. Here we have a situation with a paver. Now back to my lovely machinery. A paver operation is quite complex, actually. It's a lot of technology involved. You don't believe it, but that's actually true. If you think about putting 3 different competencies on a work site to observe and to find improvements, you put a chemist there, you put an engineer there, and you put a designer there. They are looking at the very same operation, but they find different solutions to different problems. And if now AI will detect all of these problems, you still need to add this layer of perspective. Which perspective do we trust? Are they opposite to each other? Are they perhaps overlapping each other? Which perspective is the right one to apply? Good if we can apply all 3, but we know how it is. We can only invest in one of them. So again, this perspective of what to look for and how to select the solution. In this particular case, actually, the designers found that by observing what the project planner did on site, they could address some planning issues which had to do with weather that actually caused some flow problems in the machinery, which the engineers had been struggling with for years. And not only did they solve that technical problem with this, they also created a planning tool which has completely changed the business for pavers. So I still trust that by selecting a very narrow perspective, you discover more. So having all of the data might not help you unless sometimes it's good that you don't know about the flow problem of the nozzles and you don't know about all the other stuff. It can help you. And what about all the different kinds of small needs or different angles to a problem which might be very concealed in data? Gap, choosing to do a gender neutral collection, to do a solution for someone who cannot use both arms, or to apply an environmentally friendly material to a solution, even if it performs less. Those kind of ideas or innovations or changes is not there because they are data-driven. They are there because we want something. And this is, to me, the core of a brand, to make the tough decisions. So sometimes to dare to propose the stupid, even if the AI would think you are stupid because you are coming with these strange proposals. To truly innovate or capture new opportunities, there must be a risk. There are no right or wrong answers. It's a matter of which challenges a company is prepared to take on. And what defines a brand is not the easy choice. It's the one that demands courage, ethics, or long-term commitment, which makes a difference. Because if AI suggests to one fashion company to do this way and suggests the same thing to the next company and the same thing to the next company, there we are with only putting a lot of effort in to different companies without actually capturing the different options that are out there to really create a difference. So you need to inspire courage to get determination and patience to see an idea through. And that's the big challenge, to inspire the decision makers to have that courage. And this is what I'm trying to do here, with leading businessing, leading leaders, to really create courage that we need to do something else in this time where things go in the same direction. And as I said, we have a very particular environment right now where not only do we have these new technologies, the electromobility, the automation, and the connectivity, but also that when introducing them, potentially we are disrupting our own business. Electromobility is one example where we as designers, we don't only sort of style a new vehicle, it's less about the vehicle, it's about the foundations of our business and how we run it. I mean, remember, Volvo Group is based on an engine which has been applied to many different kinds of vehicles. And now we're changing that drivetrain. So yes, it's a different drivetrain, but it changes the whole business setup. And suddenly, it's easy for someone who doesn't have the same capacity and the same setup to come in and disrupt the business. And this is what we as designers also need to look at our business and really propose, so we can disrupt ourselves before someone else do that. Elon Musk introduced this Tesla truck. I don't know where he is now with this project, but we have launched our truck. It's out in the market to buy next year. So we're extremely happy for this. And it doesn't happen because of Elon Musk. This is some of the visions that Aina was proposing to management many years ago. And we've been pushing this. And autonomous is not about the vehicle, it's about systems. I mean, some of the degree works here have pointed in this direction, that autonomous vehicles is one thing, but it's part of our society. It's a society transformation we are looking at. Because what is happening, you need to interact not only with the vehicle itself, you need to interact with other vehicles, you need to interact with human beings. And ultimately, we need to decide who has the ownership of the space. Who will decide to use that pavement? How is it allowed for a robot to walk around on the pavement or not? I mean, this is our our shared space. Now we need to learn how to share that with other kinds of elements moving around. This poses, of course, huge risks, and the safety for our group is the cornerstone. So we will make sure that whatever we put out there is truly safe. So there we cannot disrupt ourselves without really providing something that will be humanistic and safe. And this is a great challenge for us as designers as well. Finally, the aspects of connectivity, which right now, I mean, the products that we are launching is very much about finding efficiencies. And to me, this is really promising, because this, I mean, only this example has reduced fuel consumption with 25%. And that's not a small amount. 25% compared to maybe if we improve the whole drivetrain and do everything we can reduce it with a few percentage. So this is to me very promising with design, with new products and services, actually help sustainability and find those inefficiencies that we have in the system. And it's not only about taking away people, it's about making sure that we are using resources efficiently. And this is what I think connectivity will help a lot with understanding and seeing the patterns in a new way. And in order to do more circular economies and also the shared economies this is where connectivity will have an immense impact. I don't think we have seen yet what it will bring, how we can actually use everything more instead of buying more, and still drive economy with it because we're using services instead. So these are some examples of the challenges that we see at the Volvo Group. And this is not primarily my challenges. It will be your challenges. You're the ones. You are the talented people that I'm so amazed to see all the stuff that you are doing here. And I feel quite awkward of thinking about my boards presented back in 1995, which, I mean, yeah, those were the times. I mean, what we're seeing now is so professional. And I think you guys are more prepared than any students before, because you have the tools to be able to address all of these extremely interesting challenges. And some heartfelt advice. Put up goals for yourself, but don't let them become a hindrance. I have myself been very sort of open to listening to my heart and where to go, as you heard 3 times back and forth. But also being open for the opportunities and being open for others, because it's not my career. It's something that I'm interacting with a lot of people around me, and when I build trust, that is recognized. So to be industrious and do what you have in front of you really well, trust it will be recognized. But don't strive for perfection, because you need to be a little bit lazy as well. You need to take the shortcuts sometimes, because otherwise you kill yourself. And I put prototype your career, express your visions, because sometimes we have a partner, or we have a family, or we have another context, and you are not alone in your travel. You need to always be very open with what you want from life, what you want to do. And this is so important. I've seen it so many times in recruitments and where people don't seem to talk to each other. They say, oh, I just told my wife that I was offered this this role and I cannot move. It's like, what? You guys not talking to each other? I mean, don't you know that you are looking for a new job? And so here, it's really about prototyping your career together with your loved ones and the people around you. So, and that will help you, ultimately. And if your efforts and talent is not recognized, don't let anyone's neglectance waste your talent. Find a better employer. And don't complain, because it will only take you down. Instead, propose something, because that's much more positive for yourself, to try to be proactive. So, yeah, you are privileged, because design is the paradigm shift right now. You are mastering a broad palette of methods and skill, not only one process. You're trained to handle complexity. You will do excellently. You don't have intuition, you have knowledge and competence and growing experience. You need to inspire courage, challenge the status quo, or someone else will disrupt the business if you don't. Make goals, but only if you're open to change them. Work hard, don't be a perfectionist. If frustrated, suggest something or make a change. Good. That's all. Cool.
Hello, hello. Hello. Ah, it's working. We could use 5 minutes for questions now.
Oh, only 5. My God, did I talk so long? Sorry.
So, who has a question for Stina?
Or a comment, opinion.
Okay, you need to help. To the back. Don't worry.
Thank you. Does this work? Yeah, my name's Kimi from Kiel. I was a truck driver before for 11.5 tons with 10 wheels. And in that time, I recognized it that other drivers doesn't like us because we are always in a hurry and angry or like this. But so as a designer, I want to improve this problem somewhat. But I would like to ask you, is there any strategy from Volvo to improve these things, something like that?
Yeah, I think we believe strongly in building up now the communication between vehicles in different ways, and we are doing some experiments together with Volvo Cars, and it's about showing on the outside of the vehicle, for example, if you're coming too close, if you're speeding, or so that you can show more on the outside of the vehicle about your intentions as a driver. Yeah. I think that will help, and also from the communication, the connectivity that we increasingly will see between vehicles will help, because then you can avoid a lot of situations. That's the hope, at least.
Yeah, because the problem was, for example, Volvo has a lot of function to safety, but the drivers who doesn't care about that, who is showing the images of Volvo trucks, it doesn't make that good images, I guess. So that's
No, if you're big and strong, you need to be nice. Trucks are dangerous vehicles, and you need to be really take care of the others in traffic. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Andre. Last year I worked at fleet management for data-driven transportation systems. Mm-hmm. And while there, I kind of worked with the data scientists to put in the human element to interacting with these algorithms. And I'm wondering if you could share maybe, you talked a lot about systems, mm-hmm. but as you said, autonomous vehicles is not about cars, it's about systems.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could maybe shed some light on what the designer's role in designing the systems might be, and also a glimpse on what Volvo kind of envisions the future of transportation systems with data being involved?
Yeah, I mean, the systems that we are starting to build will be more and more platforms that will have many different sort of openings to them, and they will be interfacing different types of users. And this is extremely important to understand when building those. What is the actual, what kind of situations will they be used in? And like that, we also need to open them up to third-party suppliers like the bodybuilders and so on. And this creates a specific kind of challenge to us to understand what the needs are for the future systems, because we don't know all the technology that will be there. So this is very much for designers to help with the scenario building, so that we are planning our projects as well as we can for potential future use. So this is very much, we're talking very much about future personas and future sort of adaptations of our system. So that's one role. But then clearly, as the sort of the safety level and with autonomous, it will be incredibly important to manage these systems in a safe way. So there, I think we are not yet there to understand how to really make information and operations accessible, and at the same time restrict them and know the difference between an active choice and where you need to protect the autonomous situation. So there's a lot of complexity in there where designers are needed.
Okay. One final question. Can come with this guy.
Hello. My question is about when you talked about pitching chemists, engineers, and designers, and getting these kind of disciplines basically to compete for attention or for solution. And I was wondering, in your experience with these kind of background or these discipline able to generate knowledge or perspective, where does design have the upper hand, or it's kind of, can it promise some good outcomes a priori, or where other discipline maybe have other processes or approach where they will generate insights or knowledge in their own right? And how does that, are we over-promising sometimes with design when we cannot deliver, or what's your experience about?
No, I think I made that example very sort of very generalistic in a way. So it's not really the way we are working. When we're doing the observations, we are gathering people from different disciplines to discover different things. But then we need to build the holistic solutions. So it was more pointing at the findings. The findings and observations might differ because you find different things, but then you need to come to a conclusion about what to build. So it was a little bit of a drastic example to illustrate that it's like a multivariate data analysis where, depending on which side of the cube you're looking at, you see a different pattern. And sometimes they are coexisting and helping each other, and sometimes they are opposite. So you need to make up your mind which perspective is the important. But I don't necessarily say that design solution is always the best one. But my point here is that we often work with the more sort of unmeasurable aspects of what we see. That is not so easy to say that, oh, we will earn 0.3 by doing that. So it's more the challenge with discussing with an AI in that context about the value of the implementation. So.
Thank you.
How quick is that, and how complex is that question? Cube? No, I go, it's quicker.
Thank you for taking one more question. My name is Joseph. I'm a a first-year transportation design student here. And let me say, it's very refreshing to hear you talk about the complexity of design, and also the discussion with Tim yesterday about how designers can think very differently and in a wide range. My question is, what do you believe the role, the future role of a classically trained transportation designer will be, since we are often only responsible for shape and proportion as craftsmen?
Well, I think when you come to a vehicle manufacturer, you will soon discover that you might be allowed to sit there and draw and draw and draw, but very rarely that will be the case. So whether you like it or not, you will be involved in a lot of different complex problems to solve. And you need to interact with a lot of different competencies. So you might think that you're there to draw the shapes, but to achieve that, you need to understand fully the context. And I think, personally, what has driven me to become a manager, a leader, and that's because I've been fascinated by how to address those more complex problems and to solve them, and to really address the structural problems behind, to help when the shapes need to be created. So I think if you're really if you want it and really lucky, you might be able to sit down and just draw. But I don't think that will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stina. Now is your time to give us the pleasure of seeing you sign the Wall of Fame. You can choose. There's a lot of space on that side, but this is fine. Ooh. Okay, so this is the end of one more module. It's not the very end of this event yet, but it's good to take the chance that you are still all here to say a few things. And basically, is a wrap-up of, in my view, a successful day or a day and a half. We are very, very happy that everything went well. Very few glitches happened in these 2 days, but that is the result of a lot of preparation, of course, and a lot of dedication from a lot of people that work here in the school that understand the value of getting ready to welcome all of you guests. So I want to say big thanks to all my colleagues that really, again, this year delivered an amazing UID talks. Thank you, guys. You know who you are. It's really impossible to say all your names. We also had, of course, collaborative spirit. A lot of the students here during this few last weeks help out pretty much with the setup, from helping us with the theme, the graphics, and videos, and small little things that make it all special. The surprises, we like to package them here and there, and they are also involved in that. I mentioned the guests. The guests are really, really valued to us. It's overwhelming to see how many decided to come all the way to Umeå this year. We are having trouble to seat everyone in the space. This is the biggest space we have in the school, and now it's really, really full. And it's a very good problem to have, I've been saying. Yeah, so don't worry, we really want you to fill up this space. We had more than 200 external guests in these 2 last days. This is a big shift for more. And we've, just looking at some of the numbers, we've had 30 companies that wanted to do interviews with the students. If you moved around the school, you saw that every place was marked with a schedule for interviews. More than 200 interviews are happening in 2 days. And this is really overwhelming for us. So we thank you a lot for really trusting that when you come here, you can probably find what you're looking for. And yeah, keep doing that. We're very happy. So, yeah. That is one of the purpose. Of course, we love the discussions with you. We love to talk design and about where design is going. This is, of course, one of the other things that happen. And I'm really sad that and frustrated that I couldn't say hi and talk to all of you in the last day because it's impossible with so many. But I hope you managed to talk to a colleague and that helped you in some way to understand things that you wanted about what we are doing here. Yes, we are saying that this is somehow closing words, but we will continue. Now we'll have a little break. You have a light meal to catch outside. But we continue with the company presentations. And that's another cool thing. Many companies are taking the chance to come and share how they use design. This year, we are challenging them, to do the same thing as the students have been doing in these last 2 days. So the companies will have also 3 minutes to present who they are, and that is going to be a really cool and dynamic experience as well. We want everyone that can join this session to come back here to the project studio, and you saw the list on your program booklet. So join us here. We'll continue in the afternoon a little bit. And parallel to that, some of the students will be busy with more interviews. You have the chance to see the exhibition, things that you haven't covered yet. Pick up a booklet. Don't go without one. We need your help to also take them away from the school. We produced a lot of them. Do take, for sustainable reasons, we don't want to throw this away. Take it and share, Please share with who you can. I want to say, did I forget something? Okay, thank you.
And I love to mess with your program. Of course, this was a lineup of thank yous, and I think there's one thank you, and this is of course a collaborative effort, and a lot has happened because of a lot of people in this room, including all the different guests here, and I'll not repeat your thanks there. But I think these kind of collaborations do not happen without initiative and without inspiration. And I think a big thank you is also in place for you to be that inspiration and initiative. And there is one more thank you that I would like to sort of hand out in this place, and I would like to invite the dream team up here. Because when we talk about inspiration and collaboration, these guys embody an enormous effort that has happened over the last 3-4 years in doing things differently in this school, setting a new horizon for what we can do in this school, what design can do in the world. And I think a lot of you have shown in your projects that that is possible. Also, many of these speeches that we've had from inspiring keynotes had that message. I look forward to continue doing that together with you in different roles. But for now, thank you very much for being our dream team.
You got to witness quite something. Huh? All right, so now it's time for a break. And then, if you can, come back, 1 o'clock, we will continue with the